Support for our podcast comes from Symphony 3, which has announced exciting news. It's launched its innovative Smart Glue platform on the AWS marketplace. That makes the secure and affordable integration solution accessible to government agencies worldwide. The platform includes over 50 pre-built connectors specifically designed for public sector systems, government APIs, enterprise solutions and AWS services to transform citizen experiences by breaking down data silos. Smart Glue delivers operational excellence for local governments through cost reduction, process optimization, improved decision-making and scalable architecture, all while maintaining comprehensive security and compliance standards required by public sector organisations. Get in touch to see how Symphony 3's expanded team and solutions can support your goals. Head to symphony3.com to find out more. Coming up, a Surf Coast councillor walks out of his first meeting after a suspension. Countbacks and resignations continue in Victoria as mayoral election season begins. An audit reveals asset overvaluation and extreme risk in Parramatta. Controversial changes to busking rules in Sydney. North Burnett moves to forcibly sell properties over rates debts. The Gold Coast says no to free early parking despite resident petitions. And a warning that reorganisation threatens local democracy in the UK. Hello, I'm Chris Eddy. Welcome back to the Local Government News Roundup. News from and about councils across Australia and beyond. Also today...
Celebration isn't an occasional thing. At its best, it's every day. And Australians struggle a little bit with that.
Fabian Dattner drops by to preview an upcoming event on the importance of celebrating milestones and achievements. It's all on the Local Government News Roundup, brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3. Simple, connected customer experiences. It's Friday, the 31st of October. This is episode number 511 of the Roundup. Thank you for downloading and listening. Starting off today with Surf Coast Shire Councillor Paul Barker, who's walked out of his first council meeting after returning from a month-long suspension, according to the Geelong Independent. Barker was interrupted during debate over a public lighting policy when Councillor Libby Stapleton called a point of order, saying his comments were disrespectful to staff after being directed by the Mayor, Mike Bodsworth, to continue without showing disrespect. Barker muttered, "This is anti-democratic," before packing up and leaving the meeting. The Mayor called a 5-minute break following the dramatic departure. Meanwhile, a further delay in filling the missing seat at the table at Surf Coast. Another countback will be required after the successful candidate at this week's countback, Eric Minogue, did not return a declaration of qualification within the required 48 hours. The VEC has set another countback for next Wednesday, the 5th of November, to fill the seat vacated by Rebecca Burke in September. The Victorian mayoral election season is underway, with Moonee Valley City Council last night kicking things off, electing Councillor Rose Iser to the position, succeeding Councillor Ava Adams. Councillor Iser received 5 votes from her colleagues in a two-way vote with former Mayor Samantha Byrne, who received 4 votes. Councillor Phil Byrne was elected Deputy Mayor in a 5-4 vote over Councillor Hamish Jones. I have started capturing those results on the Victorian Mayor's page on the LG News Roundup website if you'd like to follow along over the next few weeks. The first entry was made a few days ago when Greater Shepparton City Council elected its Deputy Mayor. Their Mayor, Shane Sarley, remains as Mayor as he's halfway through a 2-year term. There's been a councillor resignation at Burnett Rural City Council. Nathan Tolliday has resigned effective immediately after accepting a position as an electorate officer with Annabelle Cleland MP. That disqualifies him from serving on the council under the Local Government Act. Mayor Councillor Bernie Hearn thanked Councillor Tolliday for his dedicated service as the youngest councillor in the city's history, and the council will now work with the VEC to fill the vacancy. The City of Greater Geelong has seized a fake corpse Halloween decoration from a Heighton Man's nature strip after a complaint it was offensive. The Geelong Advertiser reported that Adam Belcher returned home to find part of his decorations missing and a note from a local laws officer saying they'd impounded the plastic human hanging from his tree. The decoration was directly across from Christian College, which recently lost a student in a tragedy. The council says the decoration was removed out of respect for the grieving school community. Wodonga Council has voted 4 votes to 3 to contribute nearly $18,000 towards hiring a professional lobbyist to campaign for a new Albury-Wodonga hospital. The decision came after an hour of heated debate at Monday's council meeting, with some councillors arguing elected representatives should lead the advocacy instead of external lobbyists. The funding brings the total war chest to $72,500, with contributions from 6 regional councils. Albury Council will determine the tender scope at its November 10 meeting, with hopes of appointing a lobbyist by year's end. Mornington Peninsula Shire has scrapped footpath trading fees for the next 12 months, giving local businesses a major boost. The decision marks the first major update to the footpath trading policy since 2008. The amnesty period means all application fees for outdoor dining, seating and displays will be waived. Mayor Anthony Marsh says the move will help traders grow and add buzz to local streets. More on that from mpnews.com. Corangamite Shire Council is formally opposing the federal government's proposal to lower default speed limits on regional roads. The plan would reduce speeds on sealed roads outside built-up areas to as low as 70 kilometres per hour. But Mayor Kate Macon says the real problem isn't speed, but the condition of deteriorating rural roads. City of Casey councillors have unanimously backed an urgent motion calling for the state government to fast-track approval for signal changes at Patterson's and Tuckers Road in Clyde North. Residents report multiple crashes every week at the notorious intersection. The Department of Transport has told the council the application will take another 4 to 6 months to process. TV legend Pete Smith is calling on Port Phillip Council to relocate a heritage plaque honouring Graham Kennedy's childhood home in Balaclava. The plaque, installed in 2019, has been hidden behind real estate fencing and can't be seen by the public. Mayor Louise Crawford said council has reached out to the property owner to move the plaque to a more visible location. Maribyrnong City Council has endorsed new local laws requiring authorised officers to be trained in the city's homelessness protocol. The amendment to the local law comes as officers assist private security guards in a 6-month trial aimed at reducing crime in Footscray's CBD. The Star Weekly reported that concerns were raised by the Footscray community response about security guard behaviour, but all councillors voted to continue the trial. Hepburn Shire Council has reappointed Bradley Thomas as Chief Executive Officer for another 4 years. Mr Thomas has been leading the organisation since May 2021. Mayor Don Henderson says the decision, confirmed at a council meeting this week, provides continuity and stability as the council implements its new plan. And the Star Weekly reports that Hobsons Bay City Council has rejected a proposal to adopt formal role statements for its mayor and deputy mayor ahead of November elections. The recommendation referenced the Whittlesea Council inquiry where the mayor was suspended for failing to perform his duties adequately. Supporters argued statements would strengthen governance and clarify expectations, while opponents questioned the timing and said the roles were already defined in the Local Government Act. The motion failed 3-2, with the mayor abstaining. Rounding up more Victorian Council briefs, Brimbank has won a geographic naming award for renaming a local park to Yaluk Baring, meaning river trail in Woiwurrung language. The 231-hectare park holds deep cultural significance and contains many Aboriginal archaeological sites. Greater Dandenong Council has voted to scrap its fortnightly meetings and return to a monthly schedule for the first time in 28 years. The change takes effect from November 13. The decision wasn't unanimous. Endeavour Hill Star-Journal reported that Deputy Mayor Sophie Tan was among those to oppose the move. And Ararat Rural City Council has put out a call for community-minded residents to join its growing volunteer program. Local residents can apply for a range of roles to support events and services, with a particular need right now for the Visitor Information Centre, the library and the Town Hall. This is the Local Government News Roundup, and as we leave the Victorian report, a final reminder to those councillors in Victoria that might not yet have included their VLGA councillor census. You have until the end of the month, which is today. If you're listening to this on Friday, You do have time to complete and get that in. A number of councillors have apparently started but not completed the survey thus far. If you're hearing this after Friday, you've missed out on your opportunity to have your say on issues that affect your ability to be an effective local representative. The councillor census in its second year from the VLGA. Let's move on to our New South Wales report. And making headlines today, an audit of Parramatta City Council has found the council overstated the value of some assets by more than $50 million. And it says its Riverside Theatre's redevelopment project is at extreme risk of failure. The Sydney Morning Herald reports today that the confidential report raised questions about the council's financial management and project oversight. The report was inadvertently published in council business papers before being redacted. Councillors discussed the report findings at an extraordinary meeting this week, where it also determined a process to elect a new CEO after terminating the employment of Gail Connolly earlier this month. The Mayor of Mossman is calling on the state government to slow down its push for increased housing density in the Harbourside suburb. Under the government's low and mid-rise housing policy, Mossman must deliver at least 500 new homes by 2029. But Mayor Anne-Marie Kimber warns infrastructure like water and stormwater systems can't keep up. The policy allows developers to build up to 6-storey apartments within 400 metres of town centres, overriding council controls. Planning Minister Paul Scully has rejected calls to pause the policy, saying Mossman must do its bit to boost housing supply. That story from the Daily Telegraph. From 9 News comes the story of Sydney City Council reconsidering rule changes that would restrict buskers to just 6 spots along George Street. The new rules would limit performing hours to 11am to 10pm and ban busking outside designated sites. It sparked shock and outrage from the busking community. Lord Mayor Clover Moore has responded, saying the council has not banned busking but made changes for safety reasons following the introduction of light rail. The Lord Mayor has directed council staff to review George Street again with a view to increasing busking opportunities, according to that report from 9 News. A Sydney developer has been fined $36,000 for illegally removing protected trees from a construction site in Padstow Heights. The developer admitted to removing a native Australian weeping lily pilly, 2 evergreens and a magnolia tree without council consent between March and April last year. City of Canterbury Bankstown inspectors discovered the illegal removal after receiving reports from community members. The developer initially claimed an architect had told him permission was granted, but later accepted full responsibility in court. Tamworth Regional Council has voted 7-2 in favour of working towards gender parity and diverse representation on the council. The motion was put forward by Councillor Ryan Brooke and acknowledges that Tamworth is the only council in New South Wales with no female councillors. The decision commits the council to engaging with diverse community groups to encourage minority participation in civic leadership. A community battery project proposed for Narrabri's Town Hall car park will not proceed at any council site after councillors voted against entering a licence agreement. Narrabri Shire Council investigated relocating the Genie Energy project to the Saleyard site, but infrastructure upgrades would have cost hundreds of thousands of dollars. Councillors raised concerns about inadequate community consultation and a lack of community benefit, with the project offering just $1 a year for 3 ratepayer-funded car parks. Murrumbidgee Council is working to fix strong sewage odours and brown water problems affecting Darlington Point residents. 2 critical aerators at the sewage treatment plant have malfunctioned in recent months, with one already replaced and the second expected back in coming weeks. Mayor Ruth McRae has apologised for the inconvenience. She said the odour carries into town when the wind blows from the north, but she's assured residents that drinking water remains safe and is regularly tested. Mid-Western Regional Council has voted to continue providing beverages after council meetings, rejecting a proposal to end the practice. Councillor Rod Pryor argued the arrangement risked damaging public trust, despite the overall cost being just over $1,000 per year, including non-alcoholic drinks. The motion was defeated 8 votes to 1, with several councillors saying they'd received no community complaints about the practice. Rounding up more New South Wales Council briefs now, Councillor Linda Campbell has been elected Deputy Lord Mayor of Wollongong for another year. The election took place at the ordinary meeting of Council held on Monday. Scott Grote has been elected Griffith Deputy Mayor, edging out Councillor Jenny Ellis 5-4 in a recent council vote. The 62-year-old has vowed to push for more common sense, flexibility and transparency in decision-making, according to Region Riverina. The New South Wales Government has announced nearly $250,000 in funding to conserve 27 war memorials across the state. Minister for Veterans David Harris made the announcement in Orange yesterday. Orange City Council was among the recipients, receiving over $12,000 for the Newman Park Great War Memorial Avenue. And Edward River Council has partnered with River Region Early Education to address a critical childcare shortage by developing a new 110-place childcare centre in Deniliquin. Currently, around 69% of children in the Edward River area don't have access to childcare, with waitlists exceeding 300 families. Support for the Local Government News Roundup comes from Symphony 3, helping councils provide easier and faster access to services, like Brimbank Council in Victoria, where Smart Glue integration is helping their team replace a maze of disconnected tools with one connected workflow. Talk to the team at Symphony 3 to find out more about how Smart Glue can help your council provide simple, connected customer experiences. Time for our Queensland report, and North Burnett Council is moving to forcibly sell 6 properties to recover more than $200,000 in unpaid rates. The Courier Mail reported that 6 property owners account for nearly 10% of the council's total $2 million rates debt. Some properties have had rates overdue for 3 years or more, with one property alone owing almost $80,000. 2 of the properties have previously failed to sell at auction due to issues with access and infrastructure. The council will vote on the unprecedented debt recovery action at Wednesday's meeting. An Ormiston resident has been formally restricted from contacting Redland City Council after a months-long campaign against the $1.70 fee for paper rates notices. CEO Luis Rusan ruled that Emmanuel Rousseau's ongoing correspondence constituted unreasonable customer conduct and unreasonable persistence. The 12-month order bars phone calls and limits communication to written form only, with no further questions about the paper notice charge permitted. Free early parking will not return to Burleigh Heads despite resident backlash, with Gold Coast City Council officers recommending a review continue for another 12 months. More metered parking will be needed across the Gold Coast as the population races toward 1 million, officers say. The Gold Coast Bulletin reported that 2 petitions requested a return to previous 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. metered times, with a third seeking a trial of 30-minute free morning parking. 9 regional councils have secured funding to update their planning schemes and deliver more housing across Queensland. The $1.4 million investment is part of the state government's $12.5 million scheme supply fund. Councils including Balonne, Gundawindi Regional and Somerset Regional will use the funds to remove barriers to development. Beaudesert and Canungra are getting a major security upgrade with new CCTV cameras funded by the state government and Scenic Rim Regional Council. The $300,000 investment will install high-quality surveillance across both town centres to deter crime and protect local businesses. Mayor Tom Sharp says the cameras will build confidence for residents, visitors and investors alike, and the move has been strongly endorsed by local business chambers. Western Downs Regional Council has been named Employer of the Year by the Institute of Public Works Engineering Australasia. The council manages Queensland's largest road network, spanning over 10,000 kilometres, and currently supports 38 apprentices and trainees as part of its recruitment strategy. Women make up 67% of managers in the Works Department, well above the national engineering average of 9.9%. The council was also nominated for several infrastructure project awards at the ceremony. And while not technically Queensland, news from Norfolk Island Regional Council, where the appointment of administrators Scott Mason and Gary Mottow has been extended until the 31st of December next year. Minister Christy McBain says the Australian government remains committed to restoring local democracy on Norfolk Island. The timeline for inaugural elections of the new Norfolk Island Assembly has also been extended to allow for meaningful community engagement. To Tasmania, Derwent Valley Council has formally rejected the Tasmanian government's plan to reduce councillor numbers from 8 to 7. The council warns the reforms could undermine local representation and increase governance risks in regional communities. Key concerns include loss of diversity in decision-making, potential quorum problems and negative public perception of fewer councillors receiving higher pay. The council has proposed alternatives, including flexible representation bans and phased implementation. And Derwent Valley is hunting for a new CEO after current Chief Ron Sanderson said he'll only reapply for one more year. He wants to stay on through the 2026 local government elections and finish key projects, but the council is pushing for a longer-term appointment to provide stability. Applications close on the 10th of November. Devonport City Council has unanimously rejected plans to introduce fortnightly food and garden organics collections for local businesses. The Advocate reported that the decision followed an inconclusive survey and concerns about the $165,000 cost for just 128 food businesses. Survey results showed 55% of businesses would only consider the service at no additional cost. Mayor Alison Jarman says the council hasn't given up and will explore other waste reduction methods. In South Australia, the Kimber Council has 2 new members following supplementary elections. Robin Harris and Tony Scott have been confirmed as the successful candidates in preliminary results. Mayor Dean Johnson congratulated the pair and said the council looks forward to welcoming them on board. The Peachy Ritchie Marathon has been named South Australian winner for Best Small Regional Event at the Australian Event Awards. The 43rd annual marathon, held on the 29th of June, attracted 272 competitors and featured a relocated finish line in Cairns CBD, which boosted spectator engagement and supported local businesses. Flinders Ranges Shire Mayor Ken Anderson praised the volunteers and organisers, saying the award recognises the incredible effort behind the signature regional event. And more election news coming in out of Western Australia. The City of Perth has elected Councillor David Goncalves as its new Deputy Lord Mayor. Lord Mayor Bruce Reynolds says the newly formed council is ready to tackle an important year ahead as the team is focused on transforming Perth into a world-class city. Busselton City Council has appointed Councillor Kate Cox as its Deputy Mayor. 4 freshly elected representatives have been sworn into the City of Albany Council. Paul Terry retained his position as deputy in a secret ballot, defeating Lynn McLaren 6 votes to 2. The City of Wanneroo has elected Central East Ward Councillor Paul Miles as its new deputy mayor. He won that position by secret ballot at a special council meeting on Tuesday, defeating 3 other nominees. And a few more deputy mayoral appointments. Carlo Perkov has taken the position at the City of Stirling after winning his 4th election in Hammersley Ward. Matthew Woodall has been chosen at the City of Melville for deputy. He first held that position in 2017. The City of Fremantle elected Councillor Fidel Kamada, while Councillor Mark Bain was elected unopposed in Canning. Councillor Phoebe Cork has replaced Councillor Chantelle Stone as the deputy at Coburn. And the town of East Fremantle elected Councillor Lucinda Maywood as deputy after former deputy Tony Natali became mayor. A winning candidate in the Gingin local government election has declined to take his seat on the council after finishing 3rd in the vote count. Martin Cornart formally declined the position of councillor before the swearing-in ceremony, citing private reasons, according to Yanchep News Online. The next highest polling candidate, Robert Kestel, was invited to fill the vacancy and accepted the position. Councillors have re-elected Linda Balcom as Shire President and Frank Pexter as Deputy Shire President at their October meeting. And a story out of the NT. In Darwin, the council chamber has delivered a brutal verdict on new Lord Mayor Peter Stiles' leadership ambitions. 12 of 13 elected members voted against endorsing him for the presidency of the NT Local Government Association. Councillors opted to endorse long-term councillor Peter Pangui for the role instead, according to the NT News. Now our final global report for the week. In the UK, the District Council network has issued a strong statement following the government's decision to proceed with local government reorganisation in Surrey. The DCN, representing district councils across England, has warned that the move threatens the principle of local democracy. The organisation emphasised that local government must remain local, arguing that larger unitary authorities could distance decision-making from the communities they serve. Communities Secretary Steve Reid has reignited debate over a 4-day week working policy at South Cambridgeshire District Council, according to the Local Government Chronicle. In a letter to Liberal Democrat leader Bridget Smith, Reid expressed concern about declining performance in housing services, including rent collection and repair satisfaction. The council says it saved nearly £400,000 annually and improved staff retention by 41%, while an independent review found 22 of 24 performance indicators either improved or stayed the same. Dumfries and Galloway Council is planning to install sensors at public toilet entrances to count how many people use them each day. According to Yahoo News, the council currently operates 58 public toilets across the region at an annual cost of around £550,000 for staffing, maintenance and cleaning. And councillors are seeking to explore potential changes to toilet locations across the region. People counting devices will be installed in January as part of a review to ensure resources are properly allocated. The review will examine the current state of facilities and whether demand varies at different times of the year. Now to the USA. In California, Milpitas City Council member Evelyn Chua is facing scrutiny after allegedly violating city procedures by attempting to secretly schedule a closed session meeting without proper authorisation. Interim City Manager Deanna Santana has resigned after just 2 weeks on the job, citing tense interactions with Chua and feeling disrespected, according to milpitasbeat.com. The council member allegedly directed staff to organise a confidential meeting with no staff involvement, potentially violating California's Brown Act. The council was expected to formally discuss potential censure of Chua at a meeting this week. In Alaska, the city manager of Kodiak is leaving the position after just 7 weeks on the job. The city says the separation is mutual, though details about the reason for the departure remain limited. In Florida, Palatka city manager Marcia Carty will remain in her position despite an ongoing investigation into allegations of creating a toxic work environment and micromanaging staff. Yahoo News reported that commissioners have voted unanimously to impose strict new conditions, including a 30-day administrative leave for training and policy review. In Canada, North Bay City Council has voted to suspend the Mayor Peter Chirico's pay for 2 months after he violated a code of conduct. An Integrity Commissioner found $5,500 of personal expenses charged to a city credit card were inappropriate. A London, Ontario Council committee has voted to give councillors a 35% pay hike, boosting their base salary from around $70,000 to over $94,000 starting next term. The committee also approved severance pay for councillors who lose their seats in elections, offering up to 4 weeks of additional pay based on years of service. A final decision on that will be made by the full council next week. And out of New Zealand, Wellington's Mayor Andrew Little has named Ben McNulty as Deputy Mayor for the new council term. McNulty topped the polls in the recent elections and will serve an 18-month appointment. Mayor-elect Little says the shorter terms will keep councillors focused and accountable to residents. And 8 out of 10 newly elected councils in the far north of New Zealand are women, marking one of the highest rates of female representation in New Zealand local government history. You can read more on that development from Radio New Zealand. Now, to wrap up the week, I've got an extra treat for you. I must say I was delighted recently to be asked to co-host with Fabian Dattner a special event coming up on the 12th of November on the art of celebration. It's all about moving beyond the token sausage sizzle and why it's important to celebrate milestones and achievements. To preview the event, I caught up with Fabian Dattner. Coming up on the 12th of November is an event you don't want to miss. Senior leaders across the local government sector, are you struggling with how you're going to celebrate the year that you've had with your people? Is it just a little bit too hard because of the overwhelm and burnout that we've been speaking about on the program in recent months? Well, I'm very pleased to tell you that Fabian Dattner's here with the solution. Hello, Fabian.
Hello, beautiful Chris.
How are you?
I'm fabulous. How are you?
I'm well. I'm pleased to have caught you in Australia. You've been travelling the globe
I have
as usual.
indeed. And I'm
Where have
off
you
to
been most
Africa in
recently?
3 weeks.
Right. But you've just come back from, was it India?
Yes, that's right.
Yeah.
I've come back from India and that was a treat. Although I must say I could have been found at any one particular time in my room in a fetal position sucking my thumb because of the traffic.
Right. Okay.
That was an experience.
So, some months ago we spoke to you about the transition away from being the CEO of the Dattner
Yes,
Group, which is, very capably now being carried out by Zoe Dattner. So
yes.
I foolishly thought you were slowing down, Fabian.
No, not if I can help it. I'm not sure what I would do that for. I'm very cause-driven and challenging, supporting, evolving the practice of leadership globally for a sustainable future is my life's mission. So I'm not going to stop doing that now. I think what the bliss of the transition to Zoe has meant is I am not running the company. I am part of the company, and I'm major contribution is the art of good activism in partnership with transformational change, and coaching and helping leaders all over the world, and then inspiring people to recognise, even in difficult times, we can take hold of the practice and make sure that it creates a sense of safety and, in fact, dare I say it, love. And while those two things prevail, we have a future. And if we let them go, we don't.
Fabulous. It looks always good to talk to you about these issues, but of course that's not what we're about today. I'm just so chuffed to have been asked to co-host an event with you in a couple of weeks on the 12th of November. This Art of Celebration event, and why it's so important for leaders. But do you know what got me, Fabian? In the end,
No, I don't.
it's about how to move on from the token sausage sizzle. Now, doesn't every senior leader want to be able to do that?
Oh, geez, you're testing the boundaries of being an Australian, just saying you'd move on from the sausage sizzle.
Well, I'm
How
not saying
about
don't
we
have.
make it an
I'm not,
sausage sizzle?
yes, exactly. I'm not saying don't have it, but it's got to be something more meaningful than that, surely, in this day and age.
Well, that's what we'll be talking about. So for me, curiously, and obviously many, many people in your audience who've heard me before know that we have a very big soft spot for councils and work with them in very diverse contexts, metro, regional and rural. And we feel like a lot of the things our world wants and needs are being better embodied in councils than almost any other domain that we get to work in. But even so, I think that the understanding of the power of celebration in the hands of leaders who are stretched to the max. And, every council we ever work with, and it's a fair few, are always struggling with money and getting the budgets to fit. And I often say to leaders in that context, just remember, if someone picked up your community, your geography and your budget and plonked it down in a third world, they would be beside themselves in terms of what that would enable them to do. And a budget is determined by what you actually think is most important, not by whether you have enough money. It's what do you consider to be most important. If those are the boundaries of your budget, then what is most important to you? And one of the things that we want to highlight is that celebration isn't an occasional thing. At its best, it's every day. And Australians struggle a little bit with that. At its most basic, it reinforces why you exist as an organisation. And if we're here to serve the community that we're nested into, then celebrating your people and the daily effort of their work and the care they ultimately have for the community is a very good starting point. We know that if you do it well, it will absolutely boost energy because people feel more engaged, more welcome. It categorically strengthens that sense of belonging and trust.
Mm.
It will amplify our predisposition to learn and grow, and ultimately it sustains performance. So what we come to in the art of celebration is we think it's the big things. It's the end of year Christmas party, which unquestionably is important. What we find in a lot of councils, and you would know this as well as I do, that some get everyone turning up,
Yeah.
other than those who have to stay on for emergency services, and others are saddened by the fact that, in their words, despite best efforts, only 25 to 30% of the people will turn up. So we see that it's more about leaders understanding the power and importance of celebration than it is the celebration itself.
What's the downside or the risk of not actually understanding that, Fabian?
Well, you only celebrate big milestones. So you'll celebrate Christmas when you could have celebrated every toolbox meeting. You celebrate Christmas, but you don't celebrate the collaboration between the arts precinct and maintenance. You celebrate the win of a big funding for a major piece of infrastructure, but you don't celebrate the creation of something that costs nothing but was done on the back of
Mm.
commitment, purpose,
Mm.
and collaboration. And what will win you the big wins is those micro moments. And Australians generally are not good at recognition. Simple acts of saying thank you. Thank you for today. Thank you for having me on, Chris. Thank you for agreeing to co-host this.
Mm.
Um, Thank you for the cup of tea. Thank you for the smile. Thank you for listening to me whinge. Thank you for what you did with Bill in the maintenance department. Just
Mm.
that the ritual of thank you does more for engagement than almost anything else does. Often when you celebrate just a very big event, people are alienated from it. I wish I could do that. I wish I could get that recognition, but I clean toilets. There's no real.
This is relevant for all leaders, isn't it? Not just those
Oh,
who
yes.
perhaps have leader in their title or are seen
Correct.
to be at the senior level of organisation, but what you're saying to me, I think should resonate right through an organisation.
Correct.
Mm.
From the simplest act to the
Mm.
most complex. And interestingly, I think we're better at acknowledging and celebrating the complex than we are the simple.
Yeah, yeah.
What's your sense of it, by the way?
Well, I think your observation is good, and I think I think there's lots of challenges to this that leaders probably struggle with, not just getting those things right that you've described, but also it occurs to me dealing with the subcultures that you have within organisations. You have different pockets that do things differently and are perhaps watching how it occurs in other parts of an organisation. And
That's a great point.
if there's disconnect there, that sends interesting messages or pulses through a culture, doesn't it?
100%. And more so, I think, in councils than any other context, because we imagine we're one organisation delivering service to the community, but of course we are these multitude of micro pockets.
Yeah, yeah,
And sometimes people will say, "Oh, well, the outdoor team want to do something on their own. They want to do a barbecue, and they don't. They just want to celebrate what they're doing." To which I say, "Well, can you try and make it an and? That's a wonderful thing to do. And why don't they ask lots of people to their barbecue?
yeah.
Don't not have them in the barbecue because they did something on their own. Celebrate what they did. How can they coach other people to do the same thing?" And as you start to have that and conversation rather than either or, um, more people join in more places, in my experience. Uh,
So we don't want to replicate the whole session here, but what's going to happen on the day on the 12th of November, and what can people expect to take away from it?
well, the takeaways are huge, actually. And I think we've tried to make it one of the signature contributions Dattner Group are making to the sector. And that is, we always run a survey in the session with the participants. And, we already know we've got 70 or 80 registrations. And of those 70% are CEOs
Right.
or senior execs. So there's a very high turnout of senior leaders. And we know that that research that we pull together on their behalf from their answers to a set of questions is going out and helping everybody. So, if you've registered, you might not be able to come to the actual session, but you will get the output from it if you've registered. The second thing that will happen on the day is you're going to talk to, be connected to, and hear from many leaders, including your wonderful self, Chris. So, it is both an engaging and intimate conversation between leaders, and DG do research on behalf of everyone, pull it together, and then send it back out to them pretty quickly.
Terrific. All right. Can't wait. I think this is a lovely way to end the year in terms of the sessions that you've been having across the year that I know the local government sector has been valuing so strongly.
Yes, I think so too. And we feel like we are a part of, not apart from, and giving is far more important to us than taking.
Lovely. All right, it's coming up on the 12th of November at 12 p.m, so it's a lunchtime session. We'll have the details in the show notes. Fabian, you'll be there.
Yes,
I'll be
you'll
there.
be there.
And it sounds like a veritable who's who of the local government sector will be there. So
Yes.
looking
And
forward
bring
to
your lunch. Bring your lunch.
bring your lunch
We don't care. We
and
don't
bring
care.
your tips. Bring your
Yes.
tips and tricks.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%, Chris.
Excellent. All right, looking forward to it. Thanks, Fabian, for
Me
your time,
too.
and we'll see you on the 12th.
We will indeed. Thank you, Chris.
And that brings to a close another big week here on the Local Government News Roundup. You've been listening to episode 511, recorded on the morning of Friday, the 31st of October, 2025. Any comments or feedback can be sent by email to lgweeklynews@gmail.com. And you can find out more details on this episode, including links, by heading to lgnewsroundup.com. The podcast is brought to you by the Victorian Local Governance Association, the national broadcaster on all things local government, with support from Symphony 3, simple, connected customer experiences. We're recorded in the city of Greater Geelong, Victoria, on the land of the Wadawurrung people of the Kulin Nation, and we come your way every Monday, Wednesday and Friday. That means I'm back on Monday. Until then, thanks for listening and bye for now. A councillor's commitment to community doesn't stop when their time as an elected representative ends. In recognition of this and to strengthen its ongoing support for former councillors, the VLGA has launched an alumni program open to anyone who has held an elected position in local government. By becoming a VLGA alumnus, former councillors will have access to VLGA programs and special alumni networking events, as well as the opportunity to participate in forums and share key learnings and insights to inform sector advocacy. You'll be kept up to date on local government news and be able to participate in VLGA events and professional development opportunities at a special VLGA alumni member rate. To find out more about this exciting opportunity, visit www.vlga.org.au.